All right, hey guys, I'm going to build a portable system for my buddy. Pretty much every year he goes up north in northern Canada, fishes for walleyes for a week. He'd like to bring in his old active target system because he recently upgraded his boat from an active target 1, which is this module here, to an active target 2. So he had it laying around. He said, well, what can I do to make it so I can put it in this little boat, so that, because they bring a little John boat up there with them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a milk crate, and I'm going to put a battery in here, and I'll show you everything I bought for this. And I'll use a piece of starboard. Whoops, sorry about that. So I'll put a piece of starboard in here to mount the active target module on. Then I can secure it in there somehow. So you're going to see me doing this. So the first thing I've got to do is, let me pull this battery out of here. That battery, it's not too bad. It's 50 amp hour battery. It's, sorry, I'm just out of shape. 50 amp hour battery, it's 12.65 pounds or something like that. Fairly light. But what I'm trying to do is make it so the wiring system is compatible with using a different battery or whatever. And basically I'm going to use these SAE connectors. I'll show you how to do that in a little while. And we got a couple of chargers we'll use. So the first thing I've got to do, I've got a piece of starboard material here. It's a 12 by 12 sheet. It actually doesn't quite fit in here as easy as I like to. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to go trim it down just a tad. Let me see if I can. Yeah, I'm going to shave it down just a little bit. So I'll go do that right now, okay? All right, so now that's trimmed down. And this should fit in here fine. So the idea is to mount the AT module on this piece here, okay? And unlike most boats, I'm gonna mount it upside down. And the reason is so he can easily get to the transducer cable to plug it in and out, because we're gonna have the transducer cable on a pole that he can separate this from the box itself. So these two will be wired in, and then this will be added as he goes. So what I want to do is I want to mount this as high up in the case as I can to allow for proper airflow underneath. Okay, so let me get started. And the way I'm going to do that is to take, this is my cut. Okay, so I'm going to lay this down on its side. I don't know if you can see that. And I'm going to figure out that this is probably, whoop, put it in the right way. There we go. Slide that in. I want to have that so that I've got as much space down below as possible, but I don't want to have this sticking up too high. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lower this down a little bit. So this line here is going to be my cut line for that panel. Okay. So let me take, and what I do with the starboard material, run a little piece of tape, and okay. So I'm just going to verify that's correct, which it's not. I'll square it up. So that's my cut line right there on this side of this line, all right? So that way, get this thing cut, mount the AT module in there, and then we're going to go from there. I got some other design decisions I haven't figured out yet, so let me go cut this. All right. Okay, so that's our piece in there. By the way, one thing you want to do, I mean, I use the tape to help me mark on this stuff, which makes it a lot easier so you can see it. But you notice it comes with this coating. Make sure you take that coating off there, okay? And that way you can just clean it up, and that way you're working with the real surface. You don't really want to leave this on there. So, okay. All right. So that's the first part there. Next part is I gotta grab some screws, get this thing screwed in. So essentially this is the layout. I'm gonna use this. I'm gonna use the battery here. Oh. Sorry about that. Thing gets painful. All right, so I've got this piece here, right? I probably can't see that. So that's a piece I just cut. Always what I do is I take the cut edge that I just cut, which is usually a little rougher and than the factory cut. I'll just put the rough cut down below like that. Okay. Now, so the AT is going to go there. Battery goes here. I want to keep this battery from slipping back and forth. So I'm probably going to use maybe even a piece. Wow. I can almost use this piece here for that. So I've got a couple things I want to figure out. One, I've got a switch. I want to switch the power supply for this. Okay, so I want to switch it. I've got 2 power cords. I've got the power cord for the unit. We're going to put a 12 live, which he's going to pull off his boat onto this thing. Okay, and we've got the active target power cable. I've also got the case ground for this, which is right here on the bottom. So we'll have the case ground. So we're going to have 3 grounds, and then the switch I'm using has another ground on it. So we're going to have 4 grounds, and then we're going to have the ground going to the battery. Okay, so I'm going to use a 4-position bus bar for the ground. Yeah, it's overkill, but it just makes it simpler. I just don't like joining multiple cables into the same type of connector or joining these. I have 3-way connectors. I don't have 4-way connectors. And then on the power side, I've got the power that's going to go from the battery into the switch, okay? And it's going to come from the switch to another bus bar, and that's going to go to the power, the red wire on both the unit power cable, which is this red wire here, okay? And then I'm going to have the red wire coming off the active target module. And then what I'm going to do to keep it really, really simple, I'm just going to connect the yellow wires together. So that's method number 2 in my 5-way video. And that'll keep it pretty simple for wiring. Again, I'm trying to keep this as simple as possible, but fairly flexible. Again, make it so you can use different battery types. I'm going to fix it so the charger's pretty easy to deal with. So we're going to go from there, all right? All right, after a little bit of playing around, let me switch to the other side so you can probably see a little bit better here. What I did I mounted the active target to this piece of starboard after I cut it to fit inside the milk crate here, okay? And I mounted it so it's going this way. I know that's not great for heat, but I'm trying not to have anything on this side of the milk crate to at least give a good airflow. But this way he can connect the transducer cable pretty easily. We'll have the Ethernet cable available to hook up to his external unit, and then the power cord. What the plan is, I'm going to take the power cord, run it down here, down this side, come across. Also hook up a bonding wire here. I'm going to drill a hole here, and actually I'm going to drill a couple of power holes. And those power holes, one will be for the active target module power, and then the other will be for the unit power itself. Okay. Then I'm also going to take, and let me show you. Let me get it here. I'm going to take this switch here, okay, drill a hole. So now the unit gets powered on with this switch here. So everything will be contained. What I'm trying to do is put minimal wiring on this side of the, where he's touching it, and put all the wiring, as much wiring as I can, on the back side adjacent to the battery. So what I did on this module to keep it in place is that I wanted to make sure, let me tip it up here, with the battery here, okay. I wanted to make sure that the battery was going to stay in place. So I've got pieces here. I also wanted to make sure that this module itself is not going to move on me, okay. So what I did, and I don't know if you can see it easily or not, I'll bring the camera up and show you. But what I did is I put a little piece right here, because what happens, this module is fairly heavy, and to keep it from tipping forward, I put this piece in there. Basically, it's not going to move it at all. Now I've got the battery pretty much secured in place. The only thing I have to do is fix this position. So I'll take a small piece like this, lay it down below there, and that'll stop the shifting of the battery in place. And then the nice thing is that if you go to, say, the smaller battery, smaller setup, which obviously is pretty small, you can just take and put some of that insulating foam around it and it'll keep it in place. Okay, so that way you got a dual purpose. But again, the key on this was to have this little block right here to keep this module separated. What I did is rather than, lining it up, let me see if I can get a good picture of that. But instead of lining it up on the module itself, I used it on one of these brackets, okay? And that gave me pretty good stability. So now this will stay in place. Before, if I didn't have that block in there, it would continually tip forward. So the next step, okay, so what I'm gonna do the next step, I'm gonna sit here and lay out the wiring. So I've got the, let me get the right cable here. I got the active target power cable here, okay. I've got the unit power cable, okay. And what I'm gonna do, let me pull this back out of here. Table's only so big here. So I'm just gonna basically tip it forward. So all my wiring is gonna come over on this side here. So I'll put a line there to know how far it can come over with the battery, okay? Because you don't want to interfere it. So the switch will get drilled in here. We'll drill the 2 holes for these power cords here. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a 4-position thermal block, okay? And I'm going to use that for my grounds. And the reason I'm using it for grounds, I'm going to have 5 ground hookups, okay? I'm going to have the ground for the active target. I'm going to have the ground for the unit itself. I'm going to have the bonding ground for the active target module case, basically the case ground, okay? I'm going to have the switch ground in order to get the little LED on this switch to work, okay? That little blue LED right there. There is a ground terminal in the middle here, okay? I think it's this light lead here. And so that has to go to ground as well. So we'll take that, ground that, and then I have the ground coming from the battery. Again, I'm going to use, as I showed you before, I'm going to use these SEA connectors. Okay, let's see if I can get this bag open. Nice thing about this one, okay, this will connect to the battery. I may have to shrink the leads down a little bit. So it gives me a quick disconnect on the battery. It also gives me the fuse on the battery. So that'll be on the battery, fuse. And I'll take this wire here, basically, I have to open it up here. But I'll take one of these, I'll connect one end of that to the switch, and I'll take the other end and go to the ground. So that's the wiring there. I'm gonna use a 3-way, okay? And the 3-way will let me connect the power from the switch to the power to both of these power cables, but I'm gonna put also those, the inline fuses that you get from Lowrance. That's what I'm gonna use here. So let me, I'll go ahead, what I'm gonna do now is I'll drill the holes for the switch. I'll drill the holes for the power cord. That'll give me everything I need to mount, or basically drill through that panel. Then I'll figure out where I can put this fuse block, or basically bus bar, okay? It's gonna go over here. I wanna keep it away from the battery, but because I got some leads to go into it. And then once I got those mounted up, I'll show you those, and then I'll start terminating the wires and go from there. Well, let me show you what I've done. I have modified this a little bit. Before I had a very small piece on the side. What I decided to do, and let me see if I can move this box out of the way so I can show you, is I've got the 2 bus bars in the back, terminal blocks. That's where I'm going to connect, and I'm going to put the power on one side. I'm actually going to flip that. I'm going to put the ground on the bottom and the power on the top. Okay, so that'll make my power come in clear. So the cables come in the back here, then power comes in on this side. So I'm going to loop it around. I don't have enough room to put my connectors. If I moved that out, it probably would have been a little bit cleaner, but I'm just going to come and loop it out a little bit. So that way it'll give me a little bit of extra in there. I also got all the holes drilled out. These are tapered out. This is the hole for the switch that's going to go up top here. This is going to fit in that hole. So what I'm going to do next, oh yeah, let me show you another thing I did. I was worried about the battery sliding around. So what I did is I added a really small piece, this piece right here. Okay, so when I put this module in milk crate, okay, I just lay this down below, and now the battery cannot slide back and forth and hit stuff. So that'll make everything pretty much reasonable. I may put a battery strap on there. If I can find an old battery strap, it should fit in here pretty well. But the other thing is that if I need to pull this thing out, I can pull it out completely as a module. All the wiring will be contained right here. So, and I'll show you that in a little while. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get started right now. I'm gonna get this stuff wired up. How I terminate cables, I've shown you that in quite a few videos, so I'm just gonna go ahead and just start doing it. And then I'm gonna get the switch ready, get that ready to hook in. And it's got a little plate here that goes on the other side, so I gotta screw that in. And then we'll get going, and when I come back, I'll have this thing mostly wired up. All right, we're rolling again. All right, what I've done is I've got the power cords done for both the active target module and for the live of the Lowrance unit. Basically, this is gonna be a live or whatever. So I bundled this up. What I did is on the back side, I don't know if you can see it, maybe on this camera. What I did is I did a zip tie right here, so you can't pull it out of this container. So on the back side is I've got these two bus bars. This is the ground bar right here. This is the power bar. You can tell by the red and the black heat shrink. What I did is, for now, I just tied down one set of cables. I've got these fuse blocks here. I am not used to using these fuse blocks at all. I'm using it on this because I couldn't find a good two-position fuse holder. So we're using fuse blocks, and it keeps the cost down a little bit because everybody's, at least I've got 100 of these things, it seems. So that's all done. That's ready to go. All right. So now what I've got to do is now I need to hook up, or actually what I did is I started hooking up this SAE connector. Okay. I know that on the SAE connector, which is going to connect to the battery right here, okay, on this plug, this cable here. This one is the ground. This ground is going to go to the ground block, okay, so that's good. But then this wire here, the power wire, is going to go to the switch, okay. So if I believe the connectors or the wiring that they've got on the switch, then this should be the ground for the switch, and the reason you need a ground on the switch is for the LED to light up, okay? So I don't know if you can see the little LED there, okay? And then, so what I wanna do is, first thing I wanna do is ohm this out. And I believe that the center position is the switched power. And that switched power will be going from here to the power block, okay? And then, so I gotta make up that cable. So what I've gotta do is, these wires are too short because this is where it's gonna go. And I could barely make this one to it, but this will never reach the ground block. So I got to redo a couple of those. I got to use the spade type connectors. Not a fan of them, but you know, that's the way switches are wired. So let me do a little ohm out on this thing. First, let me get the leads here, check the leads. Okay, so it'll beep on you when you ohm it out. So right now I've got this set up to just simply, I'm going to test the power line. Okay, which should be the input power. Okay, and then I'm going to test the LED, which is the ground. I should not get anything other than maybe resistance. Yeah, it's open, which is exactly what I want. So if I flip the switch to the other position, okay, and we'll double check that, okay. So that's still open, all right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it. This should be in the off position with it pushed up, where you have the light up. So this should be open, but it's showing that it's ohming out. So this position is the on position. This position here should be the off position, which it is. So now that's showing off. If I flip that, on, okay? So that confirms to me that the middle leg on the switch, which when you buy your switch, they should have a wiring diagram for you, but I always verify it just in case, okay? So this is gonna be my power lead, okay? So this is gonna be coming from my SAE connector, wherever that wire went to there, here's the wire. So this is gonna be coming from here. So I'm gonna put a spade connector on this. This will get connected here. I'll take another red wire. I'm gonna use 10 gauge because that's what I have easily available. And it's overkill, but that's okay. This is the SAE stuff is 12 gauge. This is gonna be 10, more than enough. I mean, way overkill for as long as, it's actually a shorter run. And I'll put a 10 gauge ground wire or 12 gauge wire, which is what I've got here, which will match the SAE wiring. So, and so then this ground here, actually this ground doesn't have to hold much power. So this will go right back to the fuse block. That'll be our ground for our switch, and that'll let us know we've got power turned on. So that's really the last couple things I've got to do to get this thing wired up. So what I'm going to do is I will put my spade lug on this and then heat shrink it like I normally do, like you can see there, okay? And then I will take and pull these off here one at a time so I can keep the orientation, okay? Because if you pull them all off, then you got to refigure everything out. So what I want to do, yeah, usually switches, okay, at least the older American-made switches would tell you on the switch, you know, open, positive, whatever. So anyway, so I'm gonna strip this back, wire, get my piece of 10 gauge out of there, 10 gauge power, okay? And then I'm going to build this cable up. I'll come right back when I get it done. And then I'll show you what this thing's gonna look like, and then we can actually plug a battery in and show you what it looks like when we power it on and off. And I'll also get these little these bus bar covers on too. So that way everything's protected. All right, I got the cables made up for the switch here. And what we're gonna do, so I've got the ends for that. This is the ground for the switch. This is the power wire that goes to the fuse block. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do, now that I've got all this done, I have to remember that I gotta put this switch back into this container. And actually it looks like I can go ahead and put it back on the mount before I put these in. It won't make a difference. Sometimes when you have these, sometimes you'll have a deep mount and you won't be able to put your cables or wires on very easily. So let me snap this back in place. Maybe it should say, let me attempt to snap it back. Oh, wait a minute. Is there no. Yep, that's on the right side. Yeah, there's a little indent on this thing. So now we're back in the mount here. All right, so let's just do this logical. We'll take and do our ground. Actually, the one we're gonna do first is our switched power, okay? Because that one goes in the middle. That way we don't have anything that's already in the way or unknown, shall we say. All right, so, all right. Okay, so that's on there, it's on secure. So now I take and I'll do my ground. Okay. Remember, this has to feed through that hole. All right, so there's that. And I made them a little long so you can undo the switch if you need to, get to the wires. You don't normally need to do something like that, but you know, I don't know. I tend to put too much wire in places at times. And we got the ground for the light, and now we got to put pull this one off and put the power from the SAE connector. So what I'm gonna do for that one, because I know, actually let me just check. Yep, that SAE plug will go through the hole, so it's not a problem. So I'll completely get this assembled, and then we can push it in the hole, and then get the rest of the stuff wired up. At this point, I could actually connect the battery. And see, oh no, I haven't connected the battery on the SAE to the block. So if I connect these two grounds up to the block and that power to the block, actually I don't even have to connect the power to the block yet. If I just connect these two grounds together, okay, I should be able to plug this wire in, check the battery, check the switch itself, check the circuitry. So let me go ahead, get the switch in, and I'll run the wires through, get it all hooked up, and then we'll check it and see how it goes, okay? I got the switch mounted in. We're about ready to put this thing back in the box here. I just have to clean this wire up a little bit. This needs to hang loose, okay? But this other stuff, I'll just zip it up a little bit and just clean it. What I had to do on this bus block. Let's see if let me rotate it around so you can see it. There you go. What I had to do on the bus block down here is I had to put this ground coming off the switch on the back side because I just could not fit two into one of those, okay? So now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna redo the battery here. I think you should be able to see it. I'm going to put the covers on it wherever they went to. Oh, there they are. I'll put these covers on each of the terminals to protect those. I'm also going to put the SAE cable for which is this cable here, for the charger. That way I got the charger on there. I got this one connected all the way. That way, when you want to use a charger, you just plug it into here and you're done. So, okay. So let me get back and put it in the box. I'll get the battery flopped around. I'll show you what it looks like. Only thing left now is I've got this in the crate. I got the battery put in there. This is the cable that will plug into the electronics in the box. Okay, I'm leaving it disconnected for now for traveling purposes. Okay, so that's ready to go. Okay, this cable here comes out the other side. This is for this charger here. And this charger has a plug on the end. So when he wants to charge at the end of the day, he just plugs the charger in, done deal, okay? He could store it. Actually, there's enough room in the bottom down here to store the charger if you wanted. But I've got the Ethernet cable sitting down below. The power cord for the unit is down below here. We've got to do some more work. The next stage of this project really is I've got to take and build the pole for it. I've got this pole mount, like I told you before. Not super happy with it because one is supposed to be a live scope pole, but it's not because this is like 3/4 inch diameter. So I've got a piece of 3/4 inch ID PVC pipe that I'll be using for that. So the only thing that I can do right now, because we're going to do the rest at his house with his boat, so we know all the links and things like that, is I'm going to take and I'm going to put this into this bag. And when I get that in there, I'll show you what it looks like. So here it is, ready to go. I think I will put the charger down below here. Again, these two cables have to be connected together, okay, for it to work. And this is the cable for your charger. What I'm gonna suggest him doing is we stores it right down here on this side. That way it's out of the way, but it's also available. Both of these charger cord, the power cord and the charger cord, both have fuses in them, so we're good to go on that. So let me put this charger down in here, and what I'll do is I'll get this bag zipped up, and we'll take it up to Vermont and get it ready to go. So here's the bag. You know, you'd think it's just a regular old tackle bag, but oh, it contains a little bit of weight because it's got that big battery there. Well, I'm up here in Vermont, and yesterday we did a little quick configuration. We checked this thing out on the water. Everything worked really well. If you saw that short, you'll see that it was working pretty good. So today, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you how we got this pole set up, and then basically this is the pole we're using, okay, down here. And then I'm gonna take it out in the water, and I'll show you us using it, and hopefully we can find something to actually catch it. So anyway, so the pole, what I did is I went to the hardware store and I bought a piece of 3/4 inch ID PVC, and it turns out that's 3/4 inch inside dimension, which is perfect because this shaft on this is 3/4 inch as well. Then what I did is I went to Tractor Supply and I picked up a clevis pin, which is this pin right here in the clip, and then we trimmed it off on the end. And so that holds the PVC in place. Turns out it's perfect because when you extended the smaller that's on the bottom extendable piece, it's exactly the same length. So we're good to go. So this is 3 foot, and this is how it mounts onto the bracket onto the boat. Okay, then we have the clamp. I'll show you the clamp in a few minutes. And so the clamp goes onto that. We just screw that on place, and now we're good to go. We got the tension set on this, so we can easily move the pole back and forth, but it doesn't slide up and down, which is great. And what we're planning on doing is we're going to add a washer here just to minimize the wear. Okay, but you can also see I have the charger plugged in, which is this cable right here. Okay, this is the charger cable. Okay, and you come over here, and there's the charger set on full. It's probably upside down to you guys, but yeah. So basically that charged overnight. I like this little charger, and the nice thing is it remembered that I'd set it to lithium, and so it's ready to go. So what I'm going to do now, yesterday as a quickie, we just put some Velcro on here. Okay, I'm going to replace that with the standard cable ties that I use, and I'll get that done. I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done, and then I'll go outside, show you how it mounts the boat, and then we'll get on the water and get it going. Pole's all ready. You can see the, they're now called Cobra roots or whatever. So that's what they're on. Basically, they're flex roots, but they're made from Cobra Industries. Okay. So I'm gonna take this out of the boat, and then I'll show you the mount. Here's our mount up on the boat here. Okay. See, it has the it's clamps on the side. He's got this. Let me put this in the boat here. So what he does, he had this rail piece here, and this on that little boat he's going to use next week. This is just going to clamp onto the rail of the boat itself. So it's basically this piece right here. One thing we did a little modification. I had him add some epoxy to this piece here so it stayed in place and didn't come out. And that keeps the pole from rotating on you. So we're all ready to go. We're gonna get out in the water here and show you how it looks. Okay, we're out on the water here on Champlain. I'm gonna take and first mount the pole up. So, all right. Okay. Pole's in place. Now what we're gonna do, we're gonna grab the bag and the unit at the same time. So, all right. Okay. So it's simple enough. We just get this bag open up. Okay. Flip it back. First thing we'll do, we'll plug the transducer cable in. Okay. What you want to do is the indent is here, so it's going to go towards the right. Okay. I think I got it in there. There we go. Okay. So that's in place. Plug the power cord in the unit. Again, you got limited. This is a brand new power cord, but it's pretty short. I wish they would make them a little bit longer, but they don't. So, all right. So, okay. And the last thing to do is connect the Ethernet cord. All right. So that's all it is to set this thing up. So now we're ready to go. So first thing I do is just turn the power switch on down here. I don't know if you can see that from the screen. So we turn that on, the blue LED comes on, and then I power up the unit. Okay, I got a beep there, and now the module should power up. It's hard to see the LEDs in the daylight, but the unit's up, so, all right. So this is gonna take a bit to come in source. And the only thing is I got this module mounted high, so this cable's a little bit in the way. You just had to bend it over, gently bend it over though. Reason I did that is I wanted airspace in the bottom. So at this point we're up and running. So we got the unit, we're watching the active target itself. The unit's pointing direct in the same direction as the handle, and then we just sweep it back and forth. And so there it is. So like I say, if you got an old active target 1 module, or maybe just buy a brand new one, and you got another unit hanging around, this unit will work great for small boats, just using its clamp type interface. If you got a kayak, you probably want to use a different mount for the pole. A canoe, same thing. I hate to say it, but I know I've heard rumors of co-anglers wanting to carry a portable unit with them on tournaments. I don't agree with that, but this would work for that as well. I hope I don't give you guys any ideas. So, but anyway, it's all self-contained. So Rick's gonna take this up north next week and hopefully get some good walleyes. And I'm gonna show him how to record some video with this thing, so maybe we can get some good video of him using it to actually catch some good fish. So I was just talking to Rick, he listened to what I recorded, but he had a great suggestion. If you guys are doing a fly-in camp, you know, for fishing. You've got a boat sitting, waiting for you at the camp there, and they allow you to bring lithium batteries on board. This is a great setup for that. It's completely self-contained, you know, small unit. If you've got a small unit, you can probably stuff it in this box, so it'll be a little bit easier to carry. Again, we're using one of the lives off his boat here. Anyway, I appreciate you guys watching the video if you made it this far, and hopefully I'll see you on the next one. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Appreciate that. Thanks. Bye. And done.